What's up, guys? It's Breakshift. I've got another fun deck to share with y'all. In the new pack that just dropped, we got some interesting new cards that are meant to serve as support for Azamina and the White Forest, but there's some other cool stuff you can do with them too, and I think that we finally have enough cards now to make a pure Diabellstar control deck. I was never really a big fan of the various associated archetypes, like the Snake Eyes, the Azamina decks, all that stuff. I didn't care for them, but I've always thought the Diabellstar is actually a pretty cool card. In large part, it's because of the effect that you usually don't see on her, which is during the opponent's turn, if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard and special summon her back, which will of course trigger her special summon effect to let you set a Sinful Spoils. And that's a pretty cool control tool, because obviously if the opponent tries to use a removal effect on her, she'll come back, she'll plus you in the process. Or if you use your own cards to send her, and there are several good ways to do that, you're gaining additional advantage that way. You can do this repeatedly. Of course, you can trigger her setting effect on each of yours and your opponent's turns. That's a lot of value. That's pretty cool. And the cards that you can get, there's a lot of fun stuff, actually. Most people are only using her effect to place like the really broken stuff, like original Sinful Spoils to start doing some kind of combo, or Deception to start fusing. But there's some good control type cards. Most notably is this one, Sinful Spoils of Betrayal. You can send a Diabellstar from your hand or field to the graveyard, target any face-up card the opponent, or just on the field in general, actually, and you negate its effects. This is permanent, so you can use it on like a field spell or something, and it's just negated forever, which is pretty cool. It's kind of an Omni, right? Anything that's on the field, spell, trap, monster, whatever. Very neat card. It sends off your Diabell to trigger her effect, and it has a second effect that's also super cool, which is that if your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your Diabellstar monster, or your Sinful Spoils spell or trap activation, you can banish it from the grave and negate their effect. That's really cool. So if you draw this card, for example, you can use it in tandem with your Diabellstar. You send the Betrayal to the graveyard to summon her, and then when you activate her effect, if they try to like imperm you or something, you can just immediately negate it. So a lot of people won't read this effect, which means that they don't know that you have this protection. What's also kind of neat, though, is that for some people who do read it, they'll do what I would describe as a misplay, which is they'll think, oh, you know, I can't, if I use an effect in response, then they'll just negate it, so I shouldn't use anything in response. And then all of your Diabellstar effects are basically just unnegatable forever at that point if they're not going to trigger it. So it's pretty good either way. And I was using this card to make like a little small package to put into other control decks. I was playing this with like Cafeteria cards and stuff. But now we've got some new support that really ties the strategy together. The most important card is a second Diabellstar monster, which is Diabellstar Vengeance. This card's pretty awesome. It's always a Sinful Spoils card, which can matter. You can banish a spell and trap from your hand or graveyard, special summon it from your hand or graveyard. And then, as a quick effect, pay half, target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if you have another Diabell monster on the field, you get to special summon any tuner synchro that is an illusion or spellcaster from the extra deck. So it's a pop every single turn. Obviously, because it pays half, you're always able to activate it no matter what your life points are. It's recursive. You can just summon it from the graveyard every turn. And it has this additional extending effect. The targets for that, the one you're, I guess, meant to summon is this guy, Poplar of the White Forest, another new card. He's a level 4 tuner, so when you summon him alongside Diabellstar Vengeance, she's an 8, unlike normal Diabellstar, who's of course a 7. As for what this guy does, we can't trigger this effect because we aren't playing White Forest cards, but it's the second effect we care about. During the opponent's main phase, quick effect, immediately after this resolves, Synchro Summon. So you're using him as a 4, you're using her as an 8, you're going into, well, there's a lot of things you can go into potentially, but this is the new cool dude, Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. During the main phase quick effect, you can target any face-up monster on the field or in either graveyard and put it in the back row. And then during the battle phase, you can target a monster and a continuous spell on the field, destroy them. Super duper cool. So this is like Graveyard Disruption or just a regular removal effect on field, and then during the battle phase, you can get another removal effect. If they're actually playing a real continuous spell, by the way, and you don't just have to pop the thing that you put in the back row, then it's like a double disruption during the battle phase. Super neat, very cool card. Not quite as useful as you might think, because usually you've kind of won the game by the point you're getting to summon him, but he is really cool. Besides Poplar, there are some other fun things we can summon. We can summon Wonder Magician, who is... she has bigger stats, which can matter, but also she's a level 5, so you can use 5 plus a 7 to go into a level 12 if you want to. She also has this quick synchro effect. Once per chain during the opponent's main phase, you can synchro summon. You don't actually get to trigger her spell Trap Destruction because she is not going to be synchro summoned. Vengeance special summons the card, but does not synchro summon it. And the other relevant thing that you can grab is this guy, Silvera. Silvera is decent because on summon, it just books all of your opponent's cards. That's pretty alright. It also has this funny attack boost plus double piercing damage effect, which can come up. This deck isn't the best at going for kills, so not irrelevant. But those are all the targets for Vengeance we're playing here. That's what she's all about. Very powerful card. In order to get access to Vengeance, we're making use of this new card, Diabell's the White Witch. So this is a Diabell card, which, remember, that's important because in order to get the free special summon, we need to have another Diabell monster. So these are the 3 Diabell monsters. We have Black Witch, Vengeance, and White Witch. There's one more, but she's bad, so we're just not playing her. So what this one does, monsters you control can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while you control 2 or more Diabell monsters. Not bad. Some pretty decent protection. Then she has these 2 once per turn effects. You can send a spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special her. Nice, easy, free summon. And then if she's normal or special summoned, you get to send a Sinful Spoils or Diabell card from your deck to the graveyard. So obviously you could send Diabellstar Vengeance if you wanted to summon her out of the graveyard, but most of the time what you would want to do with this card is send this, another one of the new cards, Curse of Diabell. This card's really interesting. The on-field effect is cool. If you control 2 or more Diabell monsters, send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls. Kind of neat. You can send off your Diabellstar, of course, during the opponent's turn to trigger her effect and bring her back. Obviously, you're blowing up all their cards. Pretty cool. But most of the time, since this card isn't searchable in any convenient way, you would just have to hard draw it if you wanted to use the on-field effect. Usually what we care about is the second effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished from the hand or deck, add a Diabell trap or spell from your deck to your hand except for itself. So we're dumping this with our Diabell's the White Witch. We're also playing Foolish Burial Goods to just send it straight from deck. As for what we're adding with this, it doesn't add a Sinful Spoils card, only a Diabell spell or trap. There aren't actually very many of those, but the one we really want to see is the only one we're playing, Philia Diabell. This card just adds a level 8 or higher Diabell monster from deck to hand, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon it instead. Pretty handy little search card, so that lets us go from Diabell's the White Witch to a Diabellstar Vengeance. And in the meanwhile, of course, it's loading up the graveyard with the stuff we need to summon her, because the trap that we foolished is in the graveyard, and then the Philia Diabell will go to the graveyard, so we already have the spell and trap to fulfill her summoning condition. It also has a pretty neat second effect, which is that if it's banished, such as when you're summoning your Diabellstar Vengeance, all your Diabell monsters permanently gain 500. Not too bad. Boosts them up to 3,000. They are all at 25 by default, all 3 of them. They actually have the only difference being 100 extra defense on White Witch for some reason. Same stats otherwise. But that's the way we're going to get to Vengeance most of the time. We can also search our White Witch with this new field spell, Witch of the White Forest. This does a variety of things that we don't actually care about at all. All that we really care about is the when this card is activated, add a White Forest monster effect. It also prevents you from summoning dark monsters from the extra deck, which does not matter. Because it's a field spell, of course, it sticks around on the field, and then we can send it from the field for the Diabell's effect to summon herself. So this is pretty much your best starter to get into the rest of your cards. We also have one more... Well, I mean, we have Wanted, of course, still at 1. This is a great starter. But we have one more starter, too, which is this card, Dramatic Snake Eye Chase. This is the worst one. It's not amazing, but in a pinch, it will get the job done. Place a Diabellstar monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in its owner's spell and trap zone. During the end phase, banishes from the graveyard. Target a monster treated as a continuous spell, special summon it. So most of the time what you would do is you would just place your Diabellstar. Then during the end phase, she gets special summoned. That triggers her effect. She sets the Silvera. So... you know, it does something for you, but it's very slow. It's not amazing, like a going second kind of situation. We really wish, of course, that we could just be playing 3 Wanted, because it's pretty much just better, but we work with what we have, so Chase is good enough. And that's kind of the core of the deck, basically, is just we're recursively summoning Black Witch to get more and more spells and traps set out of the deck. We're blowing up cards with Vengeance. We're getting out our free Tuner Synchro to level up into another guy that's going to disrupt the opponent. And it's a pretty decent little value engine. It's very capable of winning games. In addition to this as our core game plan, we've got a few extra fun inclusions. We have one other pretty good search target for Diabellstar besides Silvera, which is Sinful Spoils of Slumber Morion. Target a face-up special summon monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position, and then if you control a level 5 or higher illusion, while this is in the graveyard, you can set it, but banish it when it leaves the field. The White Witch is an illusion, so it's a reusable Book of Moon for special summon monsters. It's a pretty decent card. There's several other Sinful Spoils traps that are pretty okay, but obviously Silvera is the best one that you were going to want to get all the time, and if you already have access to it, you really only need one backup target. I don't think it makes much sense to run more copies beyond it, because it recycles itself anyway. It's once per turn. We don't want to brick on mediocre spells and traps. So I just went with the one extra copy of that. And I also have the Sinful Spoils of Subversion, the classic OG, because this one's good for going second situations. It is just a powerful removal effect, and it fits into this style of deck where we're more willing to play controlling type effects, of course, not needing to just always be trying to grab some kind of crazy starter. So it's worth having the one of, I think, even though it is somewhat situational. We have one Foolish Burial to send Diabellstar Vengeance, and of course it gives her the spell to be able to banish. You still need a trap, but we have a lot of traps, so there's a reasonable chance that you'll have access to a trap already. And then lastly, this I will admit is a little bit sus, but I am playing Dragon's Mind. I really like this card. I think it's a lot of fun. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a monster with 2,500 original attack or defense, negate it, destroy that card, and then while it's in the graveyard, you can pay 2,500 to set it, but banish it when it leaves the field. This is pretty much, I mean, it's a counter trap, right? Silvera, it's kind of an Omni negate, but this is just a normal trap. The Dragon's Mind being a counter trap is a pretty big deal, being able to close off the chain. Very handy. Like I said, all of your monsters have 2,500 attack, so it's quite easy to fulfill the condition. The ability to reset itself from the graveyard is great because you can just send it off with your White Witch or your Black Witch or whatever and then bring it back immediately. The fact that it's a trap, by the way, if you didn't know, so you're allowed to use the trap in the graveyard, and there's no restriction here on like one effect per turn, right? So if you use this on your opponent's turn to negate, then you can immediately reset itself, and then when turn passes back to you, it's live again already, which is pretty crazy. Very, very nice effect, but I will admit this is kind of in here just because I personally really like the card, and it is a little bit suspect. If I was going to cut stuff, this would probably be the first card to go. but it's cool, so I included it. Otherwise, of course, just some, your typical Master Duel hand trap tax. And we're playing the Imperm because it's nice to have extra traps for Vengeance instead of some other hand trap here. In the extra deck, besides the stuff I mentioned, we have a few alternative synchro monsters. You can make 11s, depending on what you have on the field and which tuner you get off of Vengeance. So we just put in the best guys, Psychic and Punisher, this new guy who you can tribute to either Raigeki or Feather Duster your opponent on their turn, pretty decent. This Centurion guy. Realistically, this stuff doesn't matter. Most of the time, you're only going to use her effect to summon once, of course, and this guy will usually be the best one to go into, and you will usually be winning the game when you're doing that. But, so if you don't have, like, a Pep or whatever, don't feel like you need to craft it, or the Legatia. But the rest of the extra deck does kind of matter. I mentioned that this deck has a bit of trouble killing. It's not infrequent that you'll just have, like, 2 2500s on the board, or, like, maybe they were boosted by Philia Diabell, and so they're both at 3000, but that's not a kill. And you'll notice as well, the biggest thing we can summon off of Vengeance is 1900, which is not big enough to put up lethal damage. You're going to be short by 100. So we put in some cards that are going to help us go for OTKs. If we have 2 8s, we can just do a simple Draglubion into Numeron Dragon line. I'm sure you've all seen this before. You make him, you summon Numeron, you stick Hope Harbinger under him, he has 9000 attack. The other thing, you may or may not have seen this in some Kashtira decks back in the day, but there's an interesting level 7 OTK enabler. You can put 2 7s into Odd Eye's Absolute Dragon in the extra monster zone and then link him off for a gravity controller, which will then trigger the Absolute Dragon effect to summon an Odd Eyes monster from the extra deck when he's sent to the graveyard. You'll pull out Rebellion Dragon. We don't actually really care about this guy's effect because what we're going to do is immediately level him up into Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord, which you can put on top of any Rebellion Xyz you control. And if he was Xyz summoned using a rank 7, which he will be, he can make 3 attacks. So there you go, 9000 damage. Plus, of course, you've still got like your gravity controller, any other monsters you have. So those are our little OTK packages for the different levels we can have, 7s or 8s. This is like a third draft at this point, I guess. So I'm going to continue to tinker with this, but I'm feeling pretty happy about where it's at right now. I think it's a pretty decent deck. And I've got a couple replays to show y'all. See it in action. We'll just go from bottom to top here. The first one here is against another control deck. It's Guru Control, which is, not a terrible deck. I went first. Here's the hand. We can just start by sending Silvera with our Diabellstar. Now we're Imperm proof. We'll set Wanted because we already have another Silvera in the hand, set the Dragon's Mind, and just pass. We don't really need much else going on here. We got quite a few disruptions. At this point, I see the Hidden City. I assume it's Guru Control. So I'm going to go ahead and negate that with the Silvera because this card is their main searcher. And I won't really need this Max C anyway if it's Guru, so I can just discard it for the Diabellstar effect. She comes back. She'll use her effect. We'll set... I was trying this card out here, Guilt. In a normal game, I would have gotten the Morian, the book effect, but obviously you don't really want to be booking Guru Control, so I got this card. I don't end up using it. We can use the Wanted effect here to shuffle back and draw a card. He's going to Droll us, which is not actually a really big deal. We kind of don't care. He just summon Vengeance, and he is going to hit us with the Dogmatica Punishment, but we can use the Silvera Grave effect because he chained it to Vengeance. Like I said, a lot of people do not read that card, so free negate, summon the Wonder Magician. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's not actually enough damage to get a kill here, but it's fine because we have the ability to sync off during his turn. We have the Dragon's Mind still for a negate. He sends Wind Pegasus here for the ultimate Slayer. Can't respond to that, so there goes the Wonder Magician. Whoops. He's going to grab another copy of Hidden City, activate it. This is what we're saving our Diabellstar Vengeance effect for. Pop it, and it won't resolve. Summon out Poplar. He's going to use the Wind Pegasus in the graveyard to pop, but Poplar can just chain in response to that and sink off the Diabellstar Vengeance. So we dodge the Wind Pegasus there. We're going to slap down the big boy Vengeance Dragon. Pretty cool animation. And he's toast. Didn't even have to use the Dragon's Mind there. Didn't even have to use the other trap card we got. Not too bad. So that's what it looked like in a control matchup there. You can see that we're able to pretty easily out-resource. And it's not like we went crazy on our first turn or anything. But we're good into stuff like draw, so got him to waste some cards. All right, we're going to start out with the field spell here. He's going to hit us with Fuelos. I have 2 Ash Blossoms, but I don't even care. This deck will not trigger Fuelos at all on its first turn most of the time, so I just let it resolve. Why not? -1 for him. Another card that we're really good into is the Fuelos. He has Imperm for White Witch here, and I do not have the ability to negate with Silvera this time. So the negate goes through. I'll send off one of the Ash Blossoms for Black Witch here. Get our set. Of course, we just grab the Silvera. That's the good one. Pass back to him. Pretty humble board, but the opponent's down 2 cards. We have Ash, we have Maxi. I'll just activate the Maxi at this point. Might as well. And it turns out that he's going to banish a Blaster here. So that makes me think he's probably on Tenpai. So I'm going to go ahead and Ash Blossom here. Normally you would maybe want to save the Ash Blossom for like the field spell or something. But I don't care because I have the Silvera. I can permanently negate the field spell if he has it. But it doesn't look like he is going to, so I'll just hit him with the trap card here on the Pydra. Pydra's negated. Diabellstar effect. He's got the Dominus Impulse. That's a card that's actually quite good against this deck. So Diabellstar not going to be coming back, but he doesn't have anything else, just 1 card left in hand. Top deck another White Witch, and that's actually pretty good here. We can just send off the Subversion, use the effect to dump Curse, Curse for Philia. Philia is going to get us to a Vengeance. And he is absolutely screwed at this point. Drop down the Vengeance, pop the card. Already plenty of damage here. We'll let Poplar go in for the kill. Why not? He's not going to get to do that very often. So there you go. Not too shabby going up against a blind second deck like Tenpai there. This one is against a Blue Eyes deck. Going first. Drew a sort of mediocre hand. I'm going to send off Curse for Diabellstar. I get to do something interesting here. I'm going to do the Chain Link backwards. Normally you would want to chain block the search on Curse, but I already have my Philia Diabell, so I actually want him to Ash here, so I kind of bait him out by doing the Chain Link in the other order. And it works. He uses the Ash. Now I can just go ahead and resolve my Philia Diabell. Very nice. He's going to draw me. But again, I don't really care that much. We'll just banish out of the graveyard, drop down the Vengeance, Philia for the boost, and we'll keep Snake Eye Chase in the hand to probably just send off with Diabellstar, but he just scoops up there. Not a particularly interesting duel in that regard, but mostly just kind of trying to show, like, we don't care about Droll in the same way we don't care about Fuelos. We have lots of ways to handle like stuff like the Ash Blossom, like you saw there, where I can kind of try to trick him into using it in an inadvertent moment. Obviously, we can play through hand traps as well with the Silvera Grave effect and stuff. Really resilient deck into hand traps. Pretty cool. The stuff you're mostly worried about is Dominus and Bestials. Decent number of people on Bestials right now, probably trying to combat like Orchist, I guess. So here we're going to grab our White Witch, send off the field spell, dump the curse. Pretty standard stuff so far. We drew all of the monster names in our opening hand here, so not really anything to do. I'll just grab this extra copy of Vengeance, send her off for Black Witch. We can summon her out of the graveyard later. Fulos, again, we just don't care. Every time the opponent hits us with Fulos, it's just free card advantage, relatively speaking. We are going to lose our Vengeance from the Magnemite here, but, you know, we have an extra, so it's fine, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and summon the extra one from my hand. Want to have that on the field for his turn, of course, and I will pay half to pop the Magnemite. It could matter. Life points, not really going to be a big deal for us here. End phase, he's going to get the Druid Worm out. He's going to activate his Tract. I'll just negate that. I don't want him to have access to the Fiendsmith engine. This is another trap card I was experimenting with for a little while. It's like a Reborn every turn, but you have to discard. I ended up thinking it was too minus, so I cut it. Anyway, Diabellstar comes back, set another copy of Silvera for the follow-up, and he normal summons Ash. I assume he's just trying to get into Moon, so we get rid of that with Vengeance. Then we're going to be able to sync off with Poplar for more disruptions, and he scoops it up. Again, just kind of illustrating the point there, right? Like, a lot of people are just going to be minusing themselves against you, right? The Fulos did not impact my turn at all, and he's just losing cards, and he ends up not having enough cards to make a play through the, like, 3 disruptions or so I set up after he hand traps me a couple times. And I think that's the mark of a good control deck, is just, you know, being able to leverage those kind of small card advantage interactions that happen. I've been having a lot of fun with this deck. Try it out, of course, if you're interested. Leave some comments and let me know what y'all think, how it went for you. There's a lot of fun ways that you could take a strategy like this. I think the Horus cards could be an interesting inclusion, potentially. They add more kill power, and they give you discard outlets. So if you draw, like, you know, your Curse of the Diabell, it's more ways to send it. More interactions with Dragon's Mind. It doesn't use its normal summon, so there's a lot of normal summon reliant engines you could put in here. Something simple, just like the Adventure engine could go in, of course, or you could get a little more spicy. You could put in, like, I could see the Metamorph cards maybe being kind of fun in this. Lots of cool possibilities, but that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.